Welcome back to Airgun Academy. In this episode, we'll examine one way to possibly make your airgun more accurate. This topic is called pellet seating. How a pellet is seated in the barrel can sometimes affect accuracy in a big way. When I say seating the pellet, I'm referring to how far the pellet is pushed into the rifling when it's loaded. Most pneumatics and many CO2 airguns have a bolt probe to push each pellet a certain distance into the barrel. For spring piston airguns, you are often the pellet seater. In doing so, you control how deeply the pellet goes into the rifling, and that, in turn, can affect accuracy. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to use this Air Venturi Bronco as my training aid. The Bronco is a break barrel spring piston rifle. Most airgunners know that they're supposed to push the pellet into the barrel head first, so the hollow tail sticks out the back. But what a lot of people don't pay attention to is how far into the barrel they push the pellet. Now I'll close the barrel. If I were to shoot this right away, there'd be no telling how deep seated the pellet is. But what if I open the barrel back up and take a look? See the bent pellet skirt? There's no way that pellet will fly true when it's so deformed. Some airguns are worse in this respect, while some are more forgiving. The point is, you need to deeply seat every pellet into the breech to avoid this kind of damage. All you have to do is press the pellet into the breech after you've loaded it. Remember to hold on to the muzzle of the barrel so it can't snap shut when you do this. I'm showing this on a brake barrel, but the same thing applies to side levers like this RWS Diana 48 and under levers as well. They may deform the pellet in a different way, but they can still deform it if it isn't seated deep into the barrel. So far what we've covered can be found in most owner's manuals. So if you're one of the 5% who actually read your manual, you must be loading your pellet correctly. But there are some things to loading that can't be found in any manual. Sometimes there's an advantage to seating the pellet even deeper into the barrel. This is done very easily and precisely for break barrel guns with a special tool, an Air Venturi pellet pen and pel set. The first thing is to adjust the pen to seat the pellet to the desired depth. Each pellet will differ, and you'll find out the best depth through trials. The pen will stop at the same depth every time, so each pellet gets seated the same. This is important for accuracy. Sometimes, deep seating increases the accuracy of a spring piston airgun. Usually, the lower powered guns derive the greatest benefit from it. While the magnums, like the RWS Diana 48, need the pellet to have more resistance when the gun fires. The only way to tell is to try it on your own gun. Don't use anything metal to seat the pellet, because it might damage the soft steel barrel. Now you may be asking, how about those side levers and under levers that don't have the same access to their breech? Can I seat pellets deeply in these guns? Well, sometimes you can, and other times you can't. The seating tool must have a 90-degree bend to get into the small places, like on this side lever. But remember, I said deep seating usually works best for lower powered spring piston rifles, so powerful guns like this may not see any advantage. The only way to find out if deep seating works for your airgun is to try it. Shoot a couple careful groups with pellets seated flush with the breech. Then, shoot a couple more with pellets that are deeply seated. If there's any appreciable difference, you should be able to see it. Remember, if you seat your pellets deeply, uniformity is essential to success. Every pellet must be seated to the same depth. This lesson is a practical one about how pellets are supposed to be seated in the breech. So, let's review the main points. How pellets are seated affects accuracy. Most pneumatics and many CO2 guns have a bolt probe that seats each pellet in the breech. For most spring piston air guns, you are the pellet seater. Pellets must be seated deep enough to avoid damage when the action closes. An Air Venturi pellet pen and pel set works as a seating tool for most brake barrels. For side levers and under levers, you need a non-metallic seating tool that has a 90-degree bend to access the breech. Lower-powered air guns respond to deep-seated pellets more often than Magnum guns. Consistent pellet depth is the key to accuracy. Keep on watching and we'll help you find the right air gun for all your shooting needs. And be on the lookout for more great episodes that deal with different types of air guns for a variety of uses. Thanks for watching Airgun Academy. Stay tuned for another great lesson from Pyramid Air.